But looks like I lost. Gah! This game is low quality. As a 20-year-old gamer, I can sympathize with the main crowd when I say that the Nintendo ES Entertainment System is a nostalgic piece of software that I can look back on fondly and reminisce about for hours on end. But despite the overwhelming praise that this beige blender gets, I think its game library was actually a complete load of shit! Did anyone actually play the games on this thing? Despite popular belief, there was only a handful of games released for the Nintendo 2600, all of them a putrid pile of poop. And one such games from the handful of game I mentioned earlier in this sentence is Super Mario Bros. 2, the game, by Nintendo. In the distant year of 1972, gamers everywhere were enamored by the classical gaming mascot, Mario, despite him only having one game in the beloved Mario series. However, in 1974, something diabolical happened. You see, Nintendo knew that their most popular fan-favoritist gaming character was being milked dry, like my ex-wife on a Sunday night, so they had to act fast and develop a sequel to tide gamers over. Unfortunately, Nintendo's titular Pumbler would have to wait until 1973. The long wait was finally over when in 1973, Nintendo unveiled a new game to the masses, the Jack-in-the-Box Taco Party Pack for the Sega's Master System. A month later than that afterward, Nintendo released the now infamous Super Mario Bros. 2. Jeez, Nintendo, could you have kept us waiting any longer? What happened to the tried and true yearly release schedule of your more popular series like Calls of Duty, FIFA, and Aladdin? Yeah, I already know what you're thinking.
Game Geek, that's not Mario 2. That's just a reskin of some Korean NES game, Doki Doki Literature Club. The real Mario 2 is called Super Mario, The Lost End Levels. The game historian taught me that.
And yes, you would be completely right. You see, Nintendo got crafty when it came to writing a sequel to appeal to the masses and get more money. Instead of developing it themselves, they outsourced it to one of the biggest shitload of fuck gaming companies on the planet, Namco. In typical Namco fashion, they opted to not make anything new to save a wad of cash. So they took a look at their backlog, or blog as some call it, and then they found the classic Korean game Devil World, right next to a copy of the leaked Windows XP source code. They took the game, plastered Mario's ugly face all over it, and then crammed it into a VHS tape and called it a day. I mean, look at the two games side by side. Here's Mario 2, and here's Devil World. Might be hard to see at first, but look a bit closer. Yeah, that's right, this level is freaking identical! And they thought American gamers would be too stupid to notice. Well, who's stupid now, Namco? Over 40 years later, and we're onto you and your dirty little tricks. Well, that's enough backstory. It's time to pop this fucker in and give it a swirly. As the games start up, one very big flaw with the Mario 2 video game for the Nintendo E system is immediately notable. Copyright 1988? What the fuck is this? A Disney movie or a video game? I push the start button, and then the game prompts me to select a player. Well, if they want me to select a player, then where am I in this equation? I'm the one playing the game, so I should be the player. But all I see is Mario, his cousin Pablo, Jalopy, and Elf from the Nintendo's other hit series, The Bomb Man. Wait a minute, what the fuck is wrong with Jalopy? He's supposed to look like this. Not like some of the weird shit I see growing in my neighbor's backyard. What happened to the classic lineup of characters we all come to know and love under the year? And speaking of classic lineup, Pablo looks familiar. Yeah, that's right, he got stolen straight from Lungigi's mansion. Yeah, and they thought they were so slick too. After randomly mashing buttons on the controller during the 3.5 hours I was supposed to be using to take my sick mother to the hospital, the game begins, and I start falling to my death. But wait a minute, there's no fall damage. God, Nintendo. Would it kill you to be at least a little realistic, and maybe include free life insurance with the purchase of your new game console device cartridge cassette tape? After mashing even more buttons for several seconds, I find that the door, which I initially thought was part of the hill in the background, is actually usable. Not only that, but after doing some research, I found that it's actually required for advancing further into the game. Well, fuck, how was I expected to know that? You could have at least put a sign or something. Something along the lines of, "Attention, all gamers, this game is a shitloaf of fuck. You need to go in the door to progress in the game. Love, Sakurai." After excavating through the door, I discovered that the next area is rife with enemies. I can't believe it. The actual gall of Nintendo to include an area like this in their video game, knowing fully well that children and incompetent man-children such as myself will spend weeks of their lives toiling over this inescapable, inexcusable nightmare hellscape. What were they thinking? Naturally, it was at this point that I stopped playing the game, ripped my hair out, and then ran out of my room, leaving behind a trail of unbearable language and bloodshed. However, I'm gonna opt to not show the footage from my body cam, at the request of my lawyer. A couple weeks later, I decided to turn my Nintendo NES back on to relax my mind with a round of the classic game, Wheels of Fortune. What was extremely unfortunate, however, was that I left fucking Mario 2 in the console! Since I couldn't figure out how to remove the game, I determined I would have to beat it in order to play a different one. What else am I supposed to do? Get a job? I don't think so.
Hello, Game Geek. Do you want to help complete video game?
Fuck off, Pablo, you cheap ripoff! After finally getting back into the door and past the room of enemies, finally, I found a holes inside of the hill. When I pressed the up button on the Nintendo Analog Stick brand, Mario went into the hole, just like the door from before. What the fuck, Nintendo? Everyone knows repetition in games is lazy and wrong and lazy and overdone and wrong and lazy and wrong. What were they thinking? All this does is artificially inflating the time it takes to complete the game. Needless to say, I was pretty honkin' peeved by this point. But wait. It gets worse. Once I entered out of the hole in the cave, what's next? I immediately get killed by an enemy right outside the door! I bet some game designer out there is probably laughing his ass off. I literally had no time to react. This is some grade A bullshit, but I knew deep down that if me didn't beat this game, I doubt nobody will. Besides, I have the best pedigree in all of gaming. Fee you! That was a load of horsecock with a side of a order of a large cup of horse cum with minimal ice. At least it's all about to be over. I can see the final enemy up ahead. After doing some research, I determined that this final boss is in fact Yoshi from the Mario New Wii, shooting a big white bullets from his nostril. After successfully dodging many a bullets from the final boss, I decided to do some research. Apparently, it turns out that you are supposed to pick up the bullets and throw them back at the boss. Huh, imagine that. After defeating the boss and picking up the Ho Chi Minh mysterious orb, a hawk's mouth opens up. Naturally, I walk inside it, as one does, only to be greeted by a screen that says, "No bonus." No bonus? How about, suck my balls? Wait a minute. Select a player? Oh no. Oh no, no, this can't possibly mean... There's a second level? What the fuck? The gall of these programmers putting multiple mores of one level in a game that is already a shitload of fuck. Everyone knows that's how it goes. It's supposed to be quality over quantity. What were they thinking? Well, I guess the only thing left to do now is to destroy this game. The only way I know how. Special effects. So in conclusion, Super Mario's Brother 2 is a catastrophe of gargantuan proportions, and now the whole world knows. Be sure to subscribe and rate 5 thumbs up, because only 1.2% of my audience ever does.